Yeah, I don't know why that happened, dude. I don't know why that happened. Fucking everything is like not working or being cringe. I was like, all right, I might as well remake my whole like OBS setup. I didn't do it because I'm getting mad stressed and everything is like fucking being stupid. So I was like, all right, I'm not gonna bother right now. So right now I'm reformatting fucking chat and putting it back inch by inch, inch by fucking inch. There we go. I mean, that's mostly there. That's yeah, the cloudy curse. That's crazy. Dude, it's fucking one thing after another. You know, it's better things. I'm probably gonna have to like replace that everywhere throughout the course of doing this. So we'll figure that out as time comes. All right. Good news though. Good news. We'll try it out. Look at that. Wow. Well, fucking course that it doesn't work. This camera is a webcam that I got before we so graciously donated last stream. So I accidentally had purchased a webcam in advance of that complaint. You're white. No. No. I do, first of all, I do look brown in this, but second of all, the dynamic range on this is bad. Or I guess it's better. It's kind of weird. It is a webcam. This is just straight up a webcam. Nice Adam's apple. Yeah, it's not a very good. You look whiter than normal. This is gonna. I was actually bitching. Cat's asleep right now. Man, cat. But now that I am here. Hold on. Oh well, you know, I was with KJ, so KJ will know that this is. Now I'll bitch about this to him later. Be like, see, see. I knew my bitching about it was correct. I was correct to be bitching about it the entire time. Actually, my complaints about it were well founded. There we go. I won't. God damn it, my fucking chat. Sure, maybe it's a little tiny. I don't know. You do look bright as fuck. My light is on 10%. That's the thing. Appears brown. Yeah, it must be that he's white. It just looks like you're in a room with a big window. It actually is that it's in HDR mode right now. If I turn to HDR off, I could show you how dark it really is. Look at that. That's how dark it is right now. They're both kind of positions to be in, but yeah, I turned off the AI features on the webcam. The HDR is like I mean, it is software, but you know, we'll see.
Pookie, sad face emoji.
Are you wearing a red note
again.
filter?
Smiley
No.
face emoji.
I also, oh, that's another thing with this. Fuck, I accidentally. There we go. I turned off all of the smart features on this, but this is like a webcam that could track me around a room. I think the colors are awful. I think there's so much I don't like, but I had purchased this prior to last stream where we covered Tyler. And so now I'm like, well, guess I could return it. But you know, I don't know. Maybe I'll keep it, maybe not. I just gotta, I don't know. I gotta think about it. I don't really like how it looks, but you know, we move. Could it be a hand cam? Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna point it at my desk because my desk is covered in garbage right now. You're looking like a white man. If this is rage bait, it's working. Okay, Diesel, why do you look like a white person? I'm actually gonna. Chat. I don't know if you know this, but I have this power to use my mind to fucking blow you up. Okay, I can blow you up with my fucking mind. See, that's the thing. Last stream, KJ, someone donated enough for me to get a camera. So I had been pricing it out, but you know, we'll figure it out. Blow me with your mind. I'm not gonna it's not gonna be a good time. It's gonna be a bad time when I blow you with my mind. But the telekinesis that gives you testicular torsion. Alright? That's what's gonna happen. And I'll give the ovary version of that too. Okay? Don't just you wait. I wouldn't say a white man, but it does wash you out. I know. The skin colors are very strange with this. I can make out the content on your shelf. Yeah. Yeah. The brightness versus the facial features is fun to see. I don't know. Are you gonna reach through the screen and turn us into the last episode Homelander? I'm not going to spoil the last episode yet, but as I go into the topic today, and this is all part of the topic, right? I don't know if y'all have noticed, people are dumb. I think people are dumb, okay? That's what I think. Okay, so I've been pontificating upon such thoughts of society, okay? That's what I've been thinking. Why is there a countdown on the goal now? That's a great question. I don't know. It should be like 3 hours on it. Let me take a gander on that. Oh, I accidentally made it too short. That's why. Hold on. Let me make a new goal, but one that is longer. It was also like lagging on me. I've been just living in technical issues land. It's crazy because I work or spend my day on Macs, and the like example of using a MacBook to just do things is so much better than a Windows PC. It's actually crazy how much more I like it. But I can't really stream from that, so that's why I'm on my PC, right? But there is a lot. So I won't spoil what's been going on with the boys and the boys finale. But I'm beginning to think that people watch TV shows like this. Okay? They watch TV shows like this. And I'm tired of that. I'm tired of that because as a result, people are like, the writing in this show is so dumb. It's so ridiculous. They never explained why Mother's Milk hates Soldier Boy. This show is dumb. They never did this or that or this or that. And then I'm like, okay, I just watched this. That's wrong. And you just didn't watch the TV show. Or, okay, look, man, I'll say it. Jensen Ackles, hot guy. All right? But Jensen Ackles is playing the living embodiment of toxic masculinity. So is Anthony Starr, right? By all goodness gracious, there are people who watched the last 5 seasons of The Boys and have walked out with the perception that what do you mean my guy didn't win? What do you mean my guy didn't win? My brother in Christ. First of all, He doesn't win in the comics. What are you saying? There's so much. There's so much. I'm not going to spoil the boys finale yet, but there's many a take on Twitter where people are just like, I don't know if they never watched the show or they watched the show with their eyes closed or like what the fuck is going on. But like every time I read like an opinion about a TV show now, I want to be able to see your fucking watch time. Okay. That's what I want to live in. Okay. I want to be able to go to your Letterbox account, right? And see if you watched the movies while you're on your phone. Okay. I want to know that because I'm tired of people being and saying things about media and just being wrong. Like straight up, it's not even a matter of opinion. These are like structural things. Like if I looked at the screenplay and I looked at the fucking show, I would be like, you're wrong. Like you're just like that literally didn't happen or that did happen and you're blind. So we are not revisiting this. It's actually that there's new stuff. And also hopefully my internet stays up so I can continue this, you know. So basically Steam reviews that, yeah. Which one is my guy? The guy with a flag for a cape. That's the one that people on Twitter are saying, that's my guy. Why did you, what the fuck? So there's that. Yeah, let him get this out of his system. I don't understand that at all. Don't understand. Makes no sense to me. There's no reasoning behind any of that, but whatever. I mean, to be fair, nobody's guy won. Yeah, nobody's a Huey fan. If you're saying you are, you're lying. That's true. That's true. I'm not a Huey fan. uh, but I have been consuming every now and again. I'll sit down and I'll consume indie media, right? And I enjoy it, right? I have, to the much begrudging disdain of my community, have said that I have enjoyed Has Been Hotel. Apparently, a great sin to partake in. I'm partaking in such villainous behavior, the likes of which has not been seen since Germany, 1937. All right. Are you excited for Backrooms? That's another one that people are mad about. So there's like, all right, listen, I gotta set the stage here. All right, I'll set the stage. Let me set the stage. So the stage is as follows, right? There's a few communities. There is the puritanical Andy community, who's mad because of reasons we'll get into. There is the why isn't it me community, who's mad because it isn't them. There is the LARPer Chud, who's mad because that's how he pays his bills. And then there is yeah, I guess those are the three. And then there's the fourth guy who's just like rage baiting for rage bait's sake, you know. What about the Resident Evil movie? I believe in Zach Kreger. I believe in Zach Kreger. The Resident Evil community, who is notoriously filled with LARPers, and we are going to unfortunately use the word LARPer a lot, but there are many individuals who like Resident Evil and only partake of Resident Evil through the fandom. And many people are mad that Zach Kreger isn't doing a 1-for-1 recreation of Resident Evil 1 where it happens in Raccoon City, right? I mean, apparently it is in Raccoon City, but like, you know, we don't have like fucking hot Leon and hot yada 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 yada. So people are mad about that. But Zach Krieger seems to be actually aware of what the games are. Okay. Speaking of, that is the first one we were going to talk about today. So we're going to circle back around to Goosework, but I have a tweet pulled up already. Okay, so we'll use this tweet to immediately get into it. All right. To be clear, I have not seen Game Oververse. Diesel is finally glowing. I think I'm going to fucking explode into a billion pieces that explode with such veracity that everybody watching this stream dematerializes in an instant picosecond, okay? So this tweet got 3.4 million views. Now I had only seen of Game Oververse related things on my feed in the form of they made this cat hella thick for reasons. And you know, fine by me. Fine by me. You better blow his shit smooth off. You know, I'm fine with the hot cat girl, whatever. That's like, sure. But people have gotten very mad. Diesel when his skincare is working. But for those of you that don't know what Game Oververse is the new show that's being produced by Glitch Productions. Okay. Glitch Productions is like this indie animation studio that's been producing banger after banger lately. And they've all been pretty much doing well. The lifeblood of these shows tends to be their fandom. But a lot of Glitch is made up of Newgrounds alumni. Not that Newgrounds is dead, but that this is a venture after that. Yes, this one is made by Rubber Ross. He is the showrunner for it. Rubber Ross has quite the storied history on the internet. Old school Newgrounds has been around folks like the Game Grumps and various other individuals. Very long ago, he was involved in a drama, but people don't seem to care about that as far as I'm able to remember. Yes, Pro Jared. People don't care about that. I should mention the Pro Jared drama was like 6 years ago, maybe 7. So, you know, Aaron Hansen is involved, yes. But that is the gist of who Rubber Ross is. And there has been many thoughts about this, and I will break them down. There is a community of people who are mad because Rubber Ross made the cat hot. Okay, there are people that are mad at that. Now, there are also people mad because they just don't like Rubber Ross's vibe. Okay, there's people that are mad for that reason too. And these are happening and coalescing at a simultaneous impact point on twitter.com, aka X Everything app. Now, okay, just pause for a sec. My conspiracy theory is that Twitter is actually like a form of psychological warfare, okay?
Look, I'm just saying Vivian Pop is an agent of Yakub. The second Alastair was revealed to have dark skin, he immediately started getting hoed, and was made subservient to some white lady.
Yakub would be bringing on Latinos into his court, would he not? You know, Latinos are getting everywhere. They're all up in white nationalism. They're all up in Yakub's court. So the one that I see most of all is that people are really mad about the cat being like a hot gamer girl type character, right? And again, I haven't seen the show, So I don't really know. Oh, people are also mad because the show had therapy talk. That's the other thing. And I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking about therapy talk. And I was thinking about why shows had tons of therapy talk. And so before I read this thread, right? So we all can act performatively upset about this. Um I'm thinking about why that's happened in a lot of shows. Um so a lot of these shows are made by millennial creators, and dare I say it, millennials and Gen Z are kind of spearheading the generational discussion on talking about your mental health and feelings. Because wasn't really a thing here for a while. Complaining about, yeah, well, we could get into that too. Yeah. But, it wasn't really a thing for a while. And part of what it is when you write things is that one, you write what you know. But as I've developed friendships and met people in real life, um, it's kind of crazy because I know a lot of millennials now. It's mainly what I cater to for like my biz, but they actually do talk about their mental health in real life. I'm talking about millennials in like a very general sense, but yeah, they do, right? And I know, are you accusing them of being sheltered? Yeah, actually, yes. Because I just, so for example, I'm gonna, broad strokes this guy that I know. I know a guy, very successful, works in tech, new dad. We're not friends, we're acquaintances, and we occasionally do business with each other in like a different sense than normal. Um, I don't really know him. I make pleasant conversation with him and we talk. And if we are in a space together, I could chop it up with this guy for hours because I'm good at chopping it up with people. And he came in one day and he was just like, stuff's really difficult right now, so I'm just going on my daily walk, trying to get out. And I'm like, yeah, 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 I get that. I'm like, what's up? And a new kid, uh, and they got a house, right? And he's like, yeah, well, we got this house and we didn't realize it at the time, but it's actually filled with black mold. So our house is filled with black mold. So we got to come up with all this money to get the house renovated immediately after getting it because we didn't know about the black mold when we bought it because the realtor probably hid it from them. But the realtor conversation is a thing for a different stream. But I'm sure realtors should be also lined up against the wall. But he's explaining that, and he's telling me this, and he's like, yeah, so we're all sleeping in the same room right now to avoid being in constant connection with the mold, and it's just like I'm worried about my child and all of that. So I'm just I'm really struggling right now with my mental health. And it was like again, I'm shortening this conversation, but it was very casual, and I'm basically kind of a stranger that he's sharing this struggle with. And I didn't think about it in that moment as like this is a thing that didn't happen before. But now that I like watch shows made by millennials and I see the complaints about therapy talk, I'm like, well, these kind of conversations do actually happen. It's like obviously I gave words of encouragement in response and we had like a candid conversation where we built each other up by saying nice things about each other, right? But we did. And then I have like another friend that also she like deals with like tons of different things, right? Tons of different mental health stuff. Um but like every time we chat about complete nonsense tons of times. But then in the same breath, this other millennial is also really open about talking about her mental health, you know? And I was thinking like, okay, we talk like when I have these conversations, none of it rings out in my head as weird. And I don't think it is weird because if I wasn't okay with the conversation, I'd be like, yo, I don't want to have this conversation. I'm comfortable enough to say those things. But it happens in a way where I'm like, hmm. Yeah, people do have these conversations with their friends. They do have these conversations with people. It's normal to have these conversations. To say that these things don't happen or that it's weird in a show is like, okay, well, it's not really jiving with the lived experience I've ever seen from other millennials or myself. And I'm on the older side of a zoomer. I'm like an elder zoomer, you know? I think some people either talk about it too much or they weaponize the therapy speak so much that any benign instance can trigger a negative reaction. Well, okay, so when you say that, are you filtering that through the lens of the internet discussion on that, or what about in your day to day life? Right? I don't know you. You're a text box. Okay, you could be Truman showing me right now, but you know what is it like in real life? Okay, man, you're basically a millennial. I'm just gonna say it. All right, buddy. All right, all right. Let's make no qualms about it. My economic prospects are as zoomer as they get. Okay, which are forever branded bottom tier, working until my bones fall off. uh, Millennials got the last fucking helicopter out of Saigon, okay? I know many a millennial homeowner now, but I know very few Zoomer homeowners. I think casual mental health conversation is a real thing. It's just when you put it in a TV show or removes the friend buffer. Like, yeah, I discuss my mental with my friends, but I wouldn't let an audience see. Yeah, but it's also the characters in a TV show are not aware of that aspect. Fair point. It's mainly the internet, I guess. If someone I know came up to me and mentioned they're depressed or otherwise struggling, I'd offer them an ear. But online, there's no limit. It's endless. Yeah, well, that's the problem is that we've all like we don't know what a journal is anymore and we use Twitter as that, right? But like, when we sit here and we fucking like dog on some stupid fucking crazy person on stream and we engage in the negative internet cycle of having Schadenfreude against somebody who's very clearly mentally ill, right? We gotta like remember to check ourselves and be like, oh fuck, I'm a fucking human person who interacts with society on a multi-dimensional level in a physical space, assumedly, unless you're unemployed and sit at home all day. But that's okay. That's why you're here, right? You ever have old people trauma dump on you at the grocery store? I don't even think they see it as trauma dumping when they say it, though, because I think they see it more as like, what a great memory. uh, so yeah. Anyway, fucking, I think the character's name is Kit or something. I don't remember. But the hot cat. There we go. But I'm gonna read this thread because this is the first thing people have complained about, aside from the therapy speak stuff, right? Anyway, people are talking about the male gaziness of Game Oververse. And yeah, I have to agree. It's not gooner bait, and I like the pilot, but it subjectively is male gazy, which isn't inherently bad. So, so I have. Listen, I don't want to discuss what's the word. Is it the dialectics of this, right? I don't want to discuss the eccentricities of making an argument in such a way. But I feel it's almost like an internet argument faux pas to say this isn't blank dot 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 but This isn't X, but Y. I know like the AI version of that, but like anytime you say I'm not racist, but followed by a statement, it inherently just devalues everything you said before, and also makes you appear to be an unconfident person in your argument. So dare I say it, this person is unconfidently about to explain why actually it is all of those things, and all of those things are bad, right? So I would argue, making a persuasive argument, that you do not, it is not X, but it is Y. Do not do that. But I kind of roll my eyes at parts like this. Like, why was fold also never tied up? Lol. Only the thick thighs, pussy salad. This is, by the way, I dare I say that this is a misogynistic argument that this person is making, because something is so like vehemently sexist about the term thick thighs, pussy salad female characters. I don't I don't know what that is. By the way, I literally makes no sense to me reading it. uh I'm gonna say this person doesn't know what male gaze is. I mean, like, look, man, if we were tracking my eyes on this stream, we know where my eyes would gaze, you know. But like, uh, those words are not in the Bible. It's a meme reference. Okay, what fucking thing could that pot? This is yeah. Uh, let's see. The female characters have big bouncy chests and hips and snatched waist and get tied up with exposed skin. Virtually no female body design diversity here, which did stand out to me. Nothing, I'm not. Dude, I'm chopped. I lost so much aura there. Holy shit. uh, let's see. Virtually no female body design diversity here either, which did stand out to me. Nothing I'm not used to seeing as a woman, but still, meh. Okay, so like, on one hand, I can also relate to this kind of statement, right? Because have you guys ever watched a show and no, you haven't, unless you're brown. But if you're brown, brown people in the chat, have you ever watched a show from like back in the day and gone, damn, there's a lot of white people here. It's all white people. Fucking potato salad all the way down. I don't. I've been in those positions, and then I just go, okay, and then I move on from it. But I have had moments like that, right? Where here's another one. I'm looking at a picture of a game studio, right? Have you guys ever looked at a picture of a game studio where all the guys are like, everybody's like doing this in the picture, and they're all standing there together, and you're like looking around the picture, and you're like, there's a lot of white people in this picture. I don't know if you guys have ever done that, right? But every time I see some like fucking chud being like, fucking Bungie is woke, and then I'm like looking, I'm like, looks pretty Aryan to me. What are you talking about? You know, like, yeah. There's one guy, he's black in the back. Male gaze. What about my fellow AFAB women enjoyers? SMH, I hate people, I swear to God. Also, people are still going on about Jack saying slurs. Boom. The word negative is now a slur. So I, as a black gay, by the way, will you... I will not answer that. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm like, there are no women in the picture. Right? So like I think whatever group you fall into, assuming you are not the perceived default, right, of Caucasian straight male, I'm sure you know, you go like, what's going on in there? Right? So I get that. I get that. It's just like there is a like a like a snootiness to this argument that ruins the ability for anybody to want to listen to it. You know what I mean? Right? Like you could have a discussion about like, oh, all of these people fucking look the same. The fan service could really have been funnier if it affected the men too. And not just attractive men like Sephiroth guy or something. Why are Kit and Misinformation fighting a big battle both in bikinis while the men are normal? Put Fold in a bikini too, man. What is body diversity? No one fat enough. They scooter for a Walmart and no, yeah, well, like, you know, the thing is that there's no pleasing everybody too, because I think if you make something, like actually make something worth people's time, to be very pejorative, because many people don't, myself included, don't make, like, this isn't worth anybody's time. You're all just filling your afternoon here. But when I like, I don't make it, I guess, because I can only speak for myself as a creative. I know I try to, but they should also be contextually relevant to the situation they're in, you know? But then in the same breath, I know that I like to have hot people in the things that I make, you know? And I mean, I could make it for whomever, but like it's something that I might do because fuck you, it's mine, you know? In conclusion, about this specific criticism, yes, Game Oververse is male gazy. It was created by a man who likes cartoons. By the way, there's something so pejorative about this. Like, I can't fucking put my finger on it, right? But forgive me for being a bit woke here. But I am thinking that this person might be a closeted misandrist. Misandrist. That's what I'm thinking. Just a thought to throw out there into the ether. But they talk about Ross with a certain tone and language that makes it sound like that. Okay? Doesn't literally every animator inherently like cartoons? I mean, yeah. Disappointing aspect, but not at all shocking. The pilot is still really good. Oh, shit. They treat it like women don't make hot characters either. Yeah, women definitely make characters that would be male gazy. So it's like, look, the thing is that like the second you bring up that argument, they're just being like, well, that doesn't devalue this one, right? So this is like a cyclical argument that really doesn't have any good ending, right? Like, yeah, we'll go through the regular ones, like a.
Alright, let's go ahead and start the petition to have either the gays, sex workers, or cosplayers pick these characters up so the argument stops like it did for 2B and Bayonetta.
Yeah.
It's the only way to stop these stupid internet arguments about sexy women.
Yeah, I mean, really.
Internet fandoms were a mistake. Take me back to the day of forums.
Well, you say that, but like the forum moderator would just be like, like using their power to get their waifu at the top, all right? So it would be the same. But I hope future episodes balance out the genders being fan service. What is this, the Bechdel test for who got their hoo-has out the most? Guys, unless it's an equal amount of cock and clam on the stream, on the screen, I'm gonna be really upset. It's like the amazing digital. Like, okay, here's the thing. These shows are indie shows. Why am I getting so many voice cracks? I'm so chopped as an unk. It's crazy. You know, these indie shows are made by these creators. Even with something like Has Been Hotel, you would have to be an insane person not to make the conclusion that Vivzy Pop doesn't adore toxic male twinks. Okay? There are too many evil male twinks in that show for you not to make the conclusion that she has a thing for toxic male twinks. Okay? So it's like all of these shows exist, and not everything is for everyone. It's like I feel like people engage with media specifically for the intent to be performatively mad about it than actually engage with it, right? Because we've seen that with like Marathon, for example. Like people will complain about Marathon on the basis of it looks like a certain thing, but that's not really a complaint about the game. They're like, it's woke, right? Like the it's woke guys. It's like, well, can you elaborate upon that? Well, it plays like shit. Have you played it? No. Well, fuck. Who gives a shit then about your fucking opinion? I think the community that went crazy about forced feminization Jax doth protest too much. Yeah, I heard about Destiny 2 dying. Yeah, I heard about Destiny 2 dying. People are saying that Marathon killed it, but like Destiny 2 had been struggling even by the time it got to the final shape. And it was just exacerbated by the post final shape universe of Destiny. They didn't have anywhere to go with it, you know? Why so many evil twinks? Isn't that a stereotype in writing anyway? Some people love a stereotype, you know? Not everything needs to be a trope subverting masterpiece. And by the way, that's another thing where people are like, that's a trope in writing. Why do we have that there? It's like, okay, consider the trope exists. Does not mean we never do the trope. Actually, to care about Marathon, you have to play the 3 old PC games. Yeah, all right. All right, Grandpa. It's almost time for dinner. uh, evil twinks are hot. I can't blame Vivzy on that one. Yeah, it's all because of the one slur. Yeah, we call out tropes when they're being overused. Yes, that is true, right? Because then it's like, well, are you being a hacky writer? Are you getting anything done? Or are you just redoing this trope over and over with the intent to satisfy your sadistic sick kicks? But I would also argue that the evil twinks in Has Been Hotel are unique enough between the characters that I don't need to be like bitching and moaning about it, you know? But because she can't draw anything else. Well, there's got to be more than just her drawing the sketches for these characters. You know what I mean? Jax, would you quantify Jax as an evil twink? I definitely can overuse the effeminate evil man trope. I don't, obviously like your all chat is not players in my D&D campaigns, but I've noticed that I have a habit of making like my male villains be like effeminate, which is like an actual like really old trope. Jax is 1,000% an evil twink. Yeah, I don't know about Jax being a torta. That's also crazy work. Also, aren't you like Italian? Well, you have Yowie fans as player. Uh, let's see. When there are men telling women to stop bitching about this being the criticism of female-centric fan service, that's a lot solidifies to me that it's something worth talking about. Nothing should ever warrant telling women to stop bitching over discussing sexualization. Yeah. Closing this thread with this addition. There's a big issue with how these kinds of sensitive criticisms circulate in the indie animation spaces. The larger discussion is really black and white and aggressive now, when truthfully it boils down to this. Guys, I'm not being owned, internet. I'm not being owned. You gotta understand. I really feel like Game Oververse is not where we need to be directing that kind of energy, honestly. As a kind of woman, shut the fuck up. Let me read this. This is, of course, if they're fucking. Oh. The designer of the bikinis is a woman. Oh. Womp womp womp. The designer is a woman married to another woman. Oh god, dude, Twitter's great, dude. How could you ever leave this platform with fucking stories like this?
I'm tired of the sympathetic villain. Can we just have evil people who are in for the love of the game like Erebus?
Listen, we can have both. We can have our cake and eat it, okay? We can have amazingly well-written villains like the Deep. Yeah, genuinely, this critique is not hate. I don't think men who worked on this are actively misogynistic. See, this has less to do about the show and more to do about your personal, like, hang-ups about men as a people, honestly, you know? Listen, Diesel, Toxic is obviously misogynistic for drawing sexy goblins. Yeah, I mean, what are you gonna do? I give Toxic, if she hasn't drawn one already, she is definitely going to draw these Game Over verse characters looking hella thick. I think this is the usual issue where women characters are subconsciously depicted, treated like this by men. I don't know. So like I've been, obviously it's like I have this D&D book, but I'm like switching between that and another thing that I'm writing. And while I think the character for that other thing is pretty, I'm not trying to ever have them sexualized. And then if they are, it's because someone else is being the misogynist towards the woman. So it's supposed to be bad, like you're not supposed to. I know that sounds like a Kojima sentence that I just said, especially when I'm not saying what the other thing is. And I think it should be pointed out and improved upon. I really don't even know what you do as like a creative, because when I make things, I have like things in mind for the characters. So doing, yeah, it's like you can be as woke as you want kind of thing, but there's always somebody else further down the road who's gonna have a problem with it. If I am to say anything, I do think that there are many people, young and older, who have this like grotesque aversion to sex. Yeah, Kojima type being, guys, it's not sexual, shows feet for 45 minutes straight. The only person who's read the other thing that I've been writing is Hal, and she's in D&D, so I can't ask her, but I'll have to ask her. Pull a Toby Fox and never interact with the fandom. No, yeah, I think whenever I finish the shit I'm working on, these two things, whatever he says. But yeah, it's like one of those things where it's like you either get it or you're an idiot, and I will never tell you. There's always a woker wokler down the street. You know? There's always someone who will be more performatively upset. I also think that this is an expression of people like expressing their mental unwellness about specific things on the internet. All right. So let me keep it up with Game Over Verse before I switch over to the Goosework stuff, which is a lot more ridiculous. Wow, I have so much Goosework stuff that I've forgotten to get most of that. Well, shit. It gets worse. Yeah, well, the Goosework stuff is really fucking funny. So, okay. First, let me piss. All right, let a brother piss.
Baby, ¿dónde has visto a alguien como tú? Que camine con ese tumbao, con esa actitud. Dime dónde venden en la tienda a alguien como tú, pa' que entiendas el nivel de tu altitud. Ey, dame el punto exacto de tu latitud, que no tenemos chance en la corte, ni un pasaporte pa' después de la muerte. Así que fúgate con tu folklore. Yo te hizo de una manera tan worthy. Así que fúgate con tu folklore. Y digo todo tan lonely. Así que fúgate con tu folklore. Yo te hizo de una manera tan worthy. Yo miro y digo todo tan lonely. Así que fúgate. Vente, dame de eso que tú tienes, bebé. Con tanto amor tú te vas a enloquecer. Yo te quiero estremecer. Después arreglamos con quién vamos a envejecer. Por ahora sigue así de bella pa' que no pasen las horas. Brilla como estrella de chamito de señora. Yo queriendo novio pero tú no colaboras. Es por ser quien eres que te atiendo a todas horas. Yo te hizo de una manera tan worthy. Así que fúgate con tu yo miro y digo todo tan lonely. Así que fúgate con tu
Okay. Cosmic is complaining in general that I didn't recognize her birthday. So oh, excuse me, their birthday, excuse me. So now I'm doing it. Did I wash my hands? Yes, of course. Hands washed. I don't like the Amazing Digital Circus one bit. Well, this is I know, canceled. I don't like the Amazing Digital Circus one bit. I got bad news. You're at the Amazing Digital Circus stream. What's the song, by the way? Fuga de Folklore. That's what it's called. Can we watch Project Hail Mary instead? Well, apparently the guy who made Project Hail Mary is like homies with Critical Drinker, and that he doesn't like it when there's politics in media or something. Whatever that means. I don't know, man. I saw that movie. It seemed pretty political. I don't tend to interact with fandoms of things I like at all because fandoms are crazy. I hate that, like, as I've been kind of like in like exploring comic media and comics, um I've been I understand why Alan Moore is such a curmudgeon, you know what I mean? The guy who made Watchmen. He's like, I fucking hate comics. I fucking hate the people who read them, and I fucking hate them. Dieselwood Goon to Schlatzen Game Oververse. I gotta watch this show. It seems like some serious Gooniverse material. Game Oververse. Why not Goon Oververse, dude? Comic fans are the worst. They are. Gosh, so where do we start with Goosework? Let's start from the most recent thing, okay? Let's start from the most recent thing, which was this. All right, the amazing. It's been a long day. I've been up for a while. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my god. The amazing digital circus creator Goosework says she knows that people are upset about her response after the series finale got leaked. So she said, I just kind of wanted to make a cartoon and it ended up being way more trouble than it's worth. I really can't keep my heart in this thing anymore. It's gotten too much bigger than me, and I probably shouldn't have been the figurehead of it. So there was that, but like, so the show, the finale leaked online, basically, and it's an unfinished version. But the thing that she said was, whatever. That was her first response to it. Her first response was, whatever. And then people were super fucking furious at that response because she was just like, what? Which, by the way, would be my response. I think that is a based response. But folks were very mad. All right. Oh, shit. First Avatar The Last Airbender movie gets leaked, now this. Dude, the leak for Avatar The Last Airbender is so bad that they should have just put the movie out. The fact that they just didn't go, well, looks like it leaked early. Boom. Is crazy. I mean, what else is there to do at that point? Just keep pushing it. Yeah. Yeah. What's she supposed to do? Yeah. She can't put it back in a box. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. So when I was going to talk about this last time, this hadn't happened yet. So my thumbnail for this stream came true. Okay. It came true. So it turns out Jax is a bully. You know, the rabbit guy? He's a bully. All right. It's this guy. This is a good a good tweet reply. Relax, Gaggle. It's just a word. Your people say it all the time. So, Jax has been bullying Gaggle in the show, for those of you that don't know. This is like fucking elementary school bullshit I'm describing right now. So let me read this tweet. Making Gaggle black last minute without thinking of the implications that Jax ruthlessly bullies the only black member of the circus really reminded me why Goosework and Vivzy Pop are friends to begin with. Also, Gaggle's VA is white. All right. I like this idea that Jax has some precog powers that allow him to know that Gaggle was white the whole time. Gangle, excuse me. Sorry. No, I don't want spoilers. Yeah, I mean Gangle. Not Gaggle. Sorry, I pay taxes. You butcher these names so bad. Listen. I really saved you all the rigmarole of all the bitching I was gonna do. Diesel, I'm crashing out. If you think learning that Gangle is black is a spoiler is crazy. What if I keep saying Gaggle the whole stream now? Okay. Is this what you guys were wondering? You wanted the race check on all your favorite Amazing Digital Circus characters? Is that what you want? No, bro, you spoiled it. We're gonna see them as human, basically. You're supposed to see them as human, irrespective of whether or not they're made of fucking blocks or a rabbit. All right. So, first of all, oh my god, some of y'all are like, this is why I don't like anything modern. Bring back MW2 lobbies. Listen, unks, all right? The show's fucking fine, right? But the thing is that every show that gets a fandom online is filled with people who don't actually engage with it the way that somebody who watches a show would engage with it. So if you're interested in something, go watch it. Don't let the internet decide for you whether or not you partake in something, because that's dumb, all right? I did that for Disco Elysium, and it was such a stupid decision, all right? I didn't play that game for years. Anyway, I feel that I played it at the right time for me, but nah, I'm actually not interested. Really, I think apathy is probably a better response than at that rate. Fandoms ruined Rick and Morty for me for a while. Yeah, it was the same for me with Rick and Morty. Absolutely. Absolutely. And even still, like, there's points about Rick and Morty that I enjoy, you know? So it's like dumb of me to let other people dictate my media, you know? It's very easy to let the internet dictate those things for you. So I like when people complain about things on the internet, I have gone out of my way to participate or see what they are to know whether or not that hate is founded in some kind of reality. Because like I said, I on a many streams ago, I said I had played Assassin's Creed Shadows, which, dare I say it, is probably the smoothest Assassin's Creed has been in years. And is probably the one with the most sauce since Black Flag, I would argue. The only issue with AC Shadows is that it's a fucking Assassin's Creed game, right? And I produced an hour-long video essay for YouTube members on this channel about a fucking Assassin's Creed game because it fucking bothered me so much. But AC Shadows is really fucking good. But Yasuke's black, and that bothered people. But it really is like, whatever. It's not really about him. He's just kind of there. He really doesn't do anything. It's actually crazy. It really is crazy. It was just like, we want two characters. Okay, Yasuke's there. And he doesn't really do anything. He's just okay. He is cool, though. But just like an aura farmy way, you know, like how you might watch like the fights from Solo Leveling on YouTube with 60 frames interpolated kind of way, you know what I mean? Anyway. Wasn't the Assassin's Creed game you talked about the one that whitewashed Indian culture? No. So it took place in Baghdad, so it was like the Middle East, so not India. And it wasn't that they whitewashed it, it's that it's like the real issue is that for some reason, there's so many things. I'll complain about it forever. We're not going to get on it, but but yes. So people are mad that Jax did that. And we have evidence. We have evidence for why Goosework is a bad person. Okay, we have evidence now. So that's why Jax bullying a POC came from. So here's some of Goosework's tweets from 2023. Jax is my self-insert. When writing this show, Jax is the character that all my intrusive thoughts get funneled into. All right. I'm going to describe watching media. All right? I don't know why my fucking camera just flashed, by the way. That was weird. So, if you have watched The Amazing Digital Circus, okay, the show has repeatedly and without subtlety beat you over the head with the idea that Jax being a nihilistic piece of shit to the people that he's around is bad. The show at no point says, and when I say the show says, I don't mean somebody literally turns the camera and says, this is okay, right? But the show is not reinforcing that his antisocial behavior is okay. They are deliberately not doing that. They're going out of their way to show otherwise. Also, Gooseworks uses Jax like a voodoo doll, putting him in a maid dress. Why are you trying to insert logic into the internet's anger? Because this is a stream. Ah, shit. No, fuck. He's getting... No, you can't pull back the curtain on the Great Wizard. You're telling me that Oz isn't magical? And that it was all a fucking show? I'm being debated? He's performative. My God. Who knows? Next, they're gonna say he doesn't actually care about any of this. All I'm saying is they don't fucking think. They only know how to react. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. Look. Every stream from anybody who calls themselves a drama streamer is being performative. If they are not being performative, then they are crazy people. All right? Because you can't keep doing this forever and get invested like that. You know, it's if you're not arguing with some other 20-something-year-old guy who's unemployed in a Discord call, right? You're arguing with a fucking tweet on the internet. You know, otherwise we'll just sit here. But yes. The point of this is, even though this message would never reach such a person, yes, this is literally the death of media literacy. Absolutely, is what I'm getting at, right? If it was, then it's What's the connection between drama streams and drama clubs? It's more likely than you think. More likely than you think. Uh. But yeah, it's like it's very obvious what role Jax has in the show, right? I think anybody who engages with it knows or should know or be able to figure it out. It's not subtle at all. But then again, people have grossly misunderstood Soldier Boy and Homelander. So who knows? But yes, I know people bitched about the whole like the drapes blue thing, the drapes blue from their English teacher back in high school. And yeah, I get it. Sometimes the drapes is blue. But in the same respect, when we engage with things, the ability to analyze why the drapes might have been blue can help inform what we're seeing on the screen or reading on the page, right? Because sometimes the drapes isn't blue, right? Sometimes the drapes being blue mean the person is depressed, right? Because sometimes it does mean more. And generally, I don't know how it is for every writer, but I think if you polled a bunch of writers, they don't just make the drape blue because they like the color blue. They do it with intention. I know I do. I wouldn't expect many other people to be different. So I would assume that it is the same for the people writing The Amazing Digital Circus. It's not like it's subtle, and it doesn't need to be subtle, you know? But people connected these two things about Jax and Goosework and racism, and they had a new thing to complain about, right? So, folks have been going through Goosework's tweets, okay? And as they've been going through Goosework's tweets, they go back to the year of 2021, okay? They go back to 2021. And it's hard to say what the fuck any of this is about because many of the tweets have vanished. So I can't infer context here, right? So this is Goosework talking about Chris Chan in 2021. At least Chris Chan makes trans people look really good. So this is a comparative, right? Where Chris Chan is so bad, it makes other trans folks look much better by comparison. That is what Goosework is getting at there. And that is true. I would argue that, right? And I would argue the inverse of that, actually. I think a lot of people use Chris Chan as a wide sweeping brush to describe the issue with trans folk. I think you could swing that either way. Anyway, the next tweet here that isn't deleted is from Goosework still. Or she was being sarcastic, yeah. Yeah, either way, you can... Obviously, listen, you can't take away from this that Goosework thinks Chris Chan is a stand-up individual, okay? I just realized you have a man bun, yeah. I mean, it's not... I just leave it loose, but yeah. Yeah, it was probably shortly after Chris got arrested. But at the same time, do we want someone like Chris Chan being the major representative in the trans canon? Which is true. That's a good question to ask. Or do we denounce them as a whole and take some freaking stand that we're actually kind of normal people outside of these outrageous outliers? Which is good questions to be asking in a moment. I don't think people were asking those questions or having that kind of discussion, right? So this isn't... I don't understand how people could look at this as Goosework saying anything other than what Chris Chan did as reprehensible. I actually, there's no way to read this in a way that is approval of Chris Chan. None of that approves of Chris Chan's behavior. Reading through that, you can tell, right? Why do all my worst tweets get so much attention? This was in 2016. It's almost like Hitler. Why did anyone agree with him? Everyone always agreed with Hitler's worst tweets, which is obviously a joke. Which is obviously a joke because, as we all know, they were using MySpace back then. Okay? It was also 10 years ago. But the craziest part about this is that this is also very obviously, like, there's no other way to take this than an obvious joke, right? The scenario is so preposterous because Hitler didn't have cell phones. Hitler didn't tweet. Okay? I shouldn't even need to say that. It's self-explanatory, all right? You know, like, there's so many... I'm going to explain this joke in verbose detail for those of you that are fucking media illiterate, all right? So it's funny because those things don't exist, right? But it's also funny because nobody would agree with Hitler's worst tweets. Because his worst tweets would be very bad. Hitler didn't have cell phones. I don't even know how to explain this to someone. I'm like racking my brain. It's like, how do I explain the conceptual idea of this joke? And it's like so obvious that it's like you've lived your life understanding that cars run on gas, right? That trying to explain to someone who's never heard of wheels before that we have these things called cars that go when you fill them with gas. You know what I mean? Right? Oh, that's the other thing, right? The thing that would have been bad about Hitler had he tweeted would never be his tweets, because the thing that was bad about Hitler would never have anything to do with his tweets. It would have everything to do with the war crimes he committed and the crimes against humanity that he perpetrated. See, the point of the joke here is that regardless of how bad Hitler's worst take could be, it would never be as bad as his worst actions that he took. The Holocaust. One of you has a way better joke than me. He would still have 6 million tweets. Which is crazy, you know. Nick Fuentes back then, Archduke Nick Fuentes, he would have been saying, doesn't make sense how you could have that many. Oh, God. Thank you for mansplaining the joke to us, boss. My inferior Brazilian brain didn't get it. Odie, I'm really surprised you didn't get it, because so many of them flew to Brazil after they lost the war. So, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. I mean, you throw a stone in Brazil, sometimes you hit a guy with an armband. Just saying. They flew to Argentina. In my defense, I'm American. It was Argentina. I fucking forgot. Anyway, here's the incest stuff. And this first incest tweet is from 2015. So we got a 2015 incest tweet. You know when you find an artist who draws really good art of characters you love, but you see they also draw a lot of incest stuff? That's it. That's the whole tweet. They flew to America too, yeah. Anyway, now here's incest, yeah. If I wrote Harry Potter, I'd make it pretty much exactly the same. But Hagrid is always trying to debate people about incest. That was 2024, all right? It's 2024. I was a little worried in the first half of that tweet. I'm like, don't say it, Goosework. Don't say it. Don't say it, Goosework. But I'm sure some Tory would have an opinion about the Weasleys. I'm sure Tory would have an opinion about the Weasleys. They shouldn't make incest. They should make incest incense. So they should make like an essential oil that smells like incest. That tweet is from 2016. That's a decade ago. The doll from the Great Depression. So Raggedy Ann, you know, from the fucking Depression. Raggedy Ann and Andy. Andy is her brother, who is the male version of that doll from literally 100 years ago. Raggedy Ann and Andy chilling on the couch 5 feet apart because they're brother and sister. And that'd be incest. And this is Goosework in 2015. I thought they were bros because incest is wincest. Thank God Ragatha's brother isn't in the show. In the same, these tweets are like 5 years apart. Yeah, that was 2015. These are 2015. You know, I mean, it sounds like Goosework might have a thing for incest, but in the same breath, I don't really care, man. I don't really care. If you genuinely lose sleep at night at the thought that Goosework finds fictional incest between 100-year-old dolls, which sounds like some weird lampshading, but it's not. It's just the reality. And then, you know, it's 5 tweets out of an entire lifetime of tweeting. Yeah, if I'm power scaling kinks right now, yeah, I don't think Goosework's gonna be fucking any siblings anytime soon, you know? Yeah, we've been over some of that earlier. Amazon Parrot, yeah. Yeah, it sounds like it was making jokes about incest, because it was a topic. Yeah, dude, Snake and Ocelot are brothers. They kissed. Snake and Ocelot have Ocelot Liquid Snake, yeah. They have straight up kiss. They kiss. They have old man Yowie incest. By the way, here's the context. Goosework replies to herself under the artist who draws a lot of incest tweet, right? And then Goosework says, and then you're like, no. So everything Goosework, it's like Goosework's Like the evidence of Goosework being like a evil person is like the absence of her saying that it's okay. You know? Remember when people accused Goosework of having a drilling fetish? Like with the power tool? Here's the Raggedy Ann one. So there's Raggedy Ann and Andy sitting on a couch, not doing anything. This is also I can't tell if this is like a bait. I can't tell if this is a bait account or not because this one person responds underneath it. If we were to eliminate everyone who made a tasteless joke between 2015 and 2020, half the internet would be imprisoned for life. And then the guy responds, I don't care, I get enjoyment out of bullying low key. And they're literally 18 years old and say that they're an FTM puppy person. Bro, I don't even know if you got your GED. You can't be getting a dog collar for like house. Dude, it's gotta be bait. 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 I need to see. I think this account is bait. I don't know if it's bait. Maybe they just a little special. uh, let's see where I have some more. People were very mad about these incest ones. This one's doing some numbers right now that's going around. The Jax is my self insert. How Goosework felt saying the guy who abuses every woman he sees is her self insert. I think people watch shows with their eyes closed and their ears stuffed with fucking wax. In this economy, all they can afford is the doghouse. Wasn't there a theory that Jax is trans femme? Maybe. Oh my god. Some of this is so fucking stupid. It's so stupid.
So PPL want Goose to be like an Elcor from me? Humorous intent. Insert any bad joke anyway. Here's snack money. Get a crunch bar.
Thank you, thank you. Really, the real issue is that Goose has had an online presence. This is just gonna happen, I feel, for like many Western creators. I mean, it's just what happens now. Like it just is. And you know the thing is the more that this happens, the less value it has overall. So every time somebody like goes after a Goosework or Rubber Ross, it devalues the entire point of all of this. I am. So I did get this sent to me. So this is apparently what is this? Is this a Glassdoor review? It might be a Glassdoor review. So, and part of what like makes stuff like this difficult to really discern is just like overall what you can glean from it, because one review like this is not representative of like the company, I would argue, right? It's one of those things where it's like you kind of need more than just one. Because in a lot of ways, for any of these things, it could be really anything. Like, you don't know the specifics of it, especially if they're not, if we don't know who they are or what they did or what's going on. But we'll read it to just see. Don't work here if you're a new artist or a woman. Pros, amazing coworkers, some of the coolest and funniest people I've ever met. Cons, the expectations at this company are completely unrealistic and deliberately unclear. I began my role with no proper structure, no defined key performance indicators, and no clear understanding of what was expected of me. When I proactively attempted to create my own performance targets and clarify expectations, management weaponized that document against me as proof that I didn't understand my role, despite the fact that I explicitly stated it was created because leadership had failed to provide clarity in the first place. Employees are expected to be available from 5 a.m. every single day, including weekends, without additional pay or adjusted hours during the week. So, I would argue, so here's something I did when I was, yeah, I don't understand making your own performance targets. If your company that you work at is not tracking your KPIs, just do the bare minimum. You know what I mean? Like, just do the bare minimum. Especially if they're not keeping track of what you're getting done. As long as the work comes through that your direct higher up is putting through to you, you're good. You know, you don't need to be making any proficiency or performance quotas, you know? Yeah, don't do it yourself. Don't make your own performance indicators if nobody gave them to you. Why are you giving yourself more work, actually, now that I think about it? Anyway, another thing I would also argue from when I was teaching, right? The hours that they had me for were pretty big. But then in the same breath, when I was contacted outside of my work hours, you know what I did? I said, "Am I being paid for this?" And they were like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, this is outside of my contracted work hours. I'll talk to you on Monday." And they were like, "My bad." Because when I signed for employment, I read my contract. You know, if your hours don't say you start at 7 days a week, which is crazy. So I don't think that's the case. Don't respond to the messages. Don't respond. And also, if it's like a work Discord, which first of all, if this is like a physical studio in a physical space, it should be a Slack, not a Discord. Sorry. But you shouldn't use your personal Discord with your work account or vice versa. You shouldn't use your work Discord with your personal account and vice versa, right? You should separate those things. Got a staff meeting on a Friday night at 5 p.m. That's crazy. When the boss isn't around, I stand there like an NPC. Because I responded. Yeah, man. Unless you need to respond, don't. I don't. I don't know. That's one thing where I really learned like my value so that way I could like better protect myself and my time. You know what I mean? What makes this worse is that these expectations are never directly communicated. Instead, employees are quietly judged and penalized for not somehow anticipating in these invisible standards on their own. Okay, I may be applying Google Docky standards to a Glassdoor review. However, as a Google Docky reader, if the expectation of being available 24/7 every day is not directly communicated, how much of that are you I feel like you're applying a lot of weight to yourself. You know what I mean? It's like, how much is actually being given at your job versus how much are you giving yourself? You know, because it kind of sounds like this person is like really scared of not being the go-getter Andy. You know what I mean? You guys ever have that coworker who's constantly there early and always putting in a lot of work and trying really hard to get a promotion and run up that ladder? You know, that guy, right? But the rest of you at the job are just like, dude, come on. Come on. What are you doing? Right? Are we not? Dare I say that some of this seems like that? Like this person is like, I needed to be available all the time. Nobody ever told me I needed to be available all the time. It was never directly communicated. Okay. Instead, employees are quietly judged. Okay, so nobody is coming to you. So you are feeling judged for not being available at these times, but nobody is telling you you need to be available at these times. They're just quietly judging you for not being available at those times. And penalized for not somehow anticipating these invisible standards on their own. So how were you penalized when those times came? What did that look like in that regard? I would like to know. Because that sounds like it might be like, you know, the like a worker right violation type thing, you know? I only discovered during my final week that I had been marked down for not meeting expectations nobody had ever discussed with me. So, okay, in your final week, you put in your 2 weeks. So, this is either a contract or a 2 weeks notice type thing. Like either your contract was up, former employee less than a year. So maybe you were contracted. You were also on marketing. You know, isn't Glitch Productions located in Australia? They have insane workers' laws over there. So this would be after you put in your last 2 weeks and then the workplace gets more hostile. I don't know about you guys, but like if there was like a place that I worked and it was like a corporate kind of place, when I put in my 2 weeks notice, they would like the attitude usually does change. But then in the same breath, it's like if they're telling you these things now in your final week of your 2 weeks notice, it doesn't matter because you're already leaving. So why do you give a shit? You're like, I'm leaving in a week. I put in my 2 weeks notice already. And then they're saying, you know, you were kind of underperforming at the time that you were here. And then you're like, I'm leaving anyway. I don't fucking care. Retaliation. Yeah, I mean, yeah, retaliation. But if you're already dead set and you're already doing that, I mean, I know that I can separate myself emotionally in that way with my work, you know? Diesel, if you want, I have a girl that makes content about this sort of stuff, and I think it'll be a little funny to have it on stream. Sure, but that feels very vague. They aren't allowed to do that, the corpo, I mean. Well, it's like the difference of like, is it like an appreciable retaliation or is it just somebody saying something rude? Anyway, it goes on to say, the treatment of women within the company is genuinely concerning and borderline abusive in some cases. Ideas and contributions from female employees are routinely dismissed or overshadowed, while male colleagues are prioritized and credited. I witnessed talented women have their work and ideas claimed by men in leadership positions with little acknowledgement. There's almost no meaningful female leadership, and when women are placed in leadership roles, they are often excluded from important meetings and undermined in favor of their male counterparts. I've also witnessed women being put down and insulted in ways men don't experience. That one, it's like, okay, that I could believe that to be true. Absolutely. It's like a many such cases type situation. I remember I put in my 2 weeks at a job that at the time had gotten more strict and frustrating. Right after I put in my 2 weeks, it suddenly got nicer and it felt almost apologetic. Yeah, that's been something that that's been more of the experience is that. Or it's like you say you're going to put in your 2 weeks and then all of a sudden management wants to renegotiate the standards with you and like do something different or give you a raise. Isn't Glitch a publisher? They don't make these shows. Yeah, well, another thing that I think is important is that this is somebody in the marketing department, which I don't know how much overlay there is between that and others. That can be seen as emotional manipulation that causes harm if they're saying this after the fact and not while employed. Labor boards do not put up with that. Culture is aggressively punitive and disproportionate. I was once formally reprimanded for simply asking for clarification before a mistake occurred. An entire team meeting was called to investigate why I had almost made an error, despite the fact that no mistake had happened, because I had taken the initiative to clarify instruction beforehand. Meanwhile, I watch male employees in similar positions make major operational mistakes that cost the company a significant amount of money without consequence. As a woman trying to establish herself in the animation industry, the double standards were impossible to ignore and incredibly damaging. That's another thing where it's like, again, it says this person works in marketing, which is weird for that, but okay. I would like to read the actual post. The fact that this is a screenshot is very frustrating. Glitch does the animation and stuff for other showrunners like Goosework, Liam Vickers, etc. I will the last paragraph here. Let's see. Artists and animators are treated as disposable despite being the entire reason the company exists. Leadership appears far more interested in influencers and LA industry connections than in supporting the creatives actually producing the work. That does not seem. She said she saw men lose the company a lot of money and not being punished. Yeah, that doesn't track either because the second you lose like actual money, I don't really see why the gender would play a role there. But then again, I don't know. Maybe I'm too woke for that. Maybe it's some fucking geriatric. And she wouldn't have that info. I mean, if you're like on a marketing team, you may know how much a budget costs on a marketing promotion or like your plan, right? Like when we do marketing, we know how much the marketing is going to cost and where we're going to be aiming it. So like if you're on marketing, you can know what the operational cost of that is going to be when you pitch it because it's something that you need to produce for your meetings, you know. So could know the money in that regard, I would argue. If I am to play devil's advocate at the very least. But it's also very, like, one of the things where it's like she's talking about, like, the art and animation team when this person didn't work there in that capacity. So it's kind of hard to, like, gauge. If you don't work in that department, it's kind of hard to gauge what the reality of that department is like. Because, you know, like, when I when I do work in a camera department, I have like a vague idea of what goes on in the other departments. But if you were to ask me what goes on in costuming, I know that they put the people in clothes and fit them in those clothes, and that they like hem the pants. So like, but like, I don't know what it's like structurally. I have no fucking clue what it's like structurally. I know there's a person in charge of it, but I don't know what the rest of the structure looks like. Like, I just don't know. And it's like, we all need to work together to produce a thing, but I don't know all of that, you know? Interesting. Okay. I will have to take a look after this. Yeah, a few years back, Glassdoor decided to essentially dox every single person that posted a review for transparency. That makes sense in some regard, because, like, okay, so, like, obviously that's bad, but then in the same breath, it's like, if you're a disgruntled employee and you're rightfully fired by a company, couldn't you just, like, get on Glassdoor and anonymously lie, you know? And it's like, okay, well, now you've just said a bunch of slanderous shit on Glassdoor. Deadlines are routinely impossible. I will say this person does sound like they set their own deadlines. Not really. You still had to provide full info to them. Yeah. Yeah, that's a hard one to say, because on one hand it's like, theoretically bad actors could do that anonymously, right? Put in the work to do that. That would be easy. But in the same breath, putting all of the reviewers' names and all their information out there puts them at risk and puts them in positions where they might be in a detrimental spot to get future employment, you know? Deadlines are routinely impossible. Tasks that would reasonably take weeks or a month elsewhere in the industry are expected to be completed in a matter of days. With threats and intimidation, when artists inevitably struggle to meet those demands. But you're not on that team. How do you know that? You don't work in that department. I mean, maybe you made friends with coworkers, but then that's like not your review. This should be the review of somebody else who's been on the receiving end of those things, you know? But again, maybe that's my Google Docy brain talking there, you know? But, and then also, if you said you're new to the industry, that you're trying to establish yourself in that, how do you know what the reasonable expectation of deliverables are in the industry, right? Like, the turnover and the things that we would produce for, like, film is like day by day. If you didn't meet stuff daily, then you were in serious fucking trouble. But expectations are different in different kind of fields, you know? So I don't, if you're new, how do you know what the expectations are? The level of micromanagement is extreme. But you said you weren't getting that. You weren't getting any management because they didn't give you deliverables. Employees are pulled into formal development meetings for being even a minute late returning from lunch, regardless of workload completion or performance. This could be true. That sounds like something that could happen. I believe that. At the same time, there's no meaningful employee development whatsoever, only punishment. The company also creates an environment where employees feel unable to take sick leave. This kind of also sounds like your personal bullshit this time again, because you were doing that earlier in this. Because the constant firing of new hires and lack of staffing support. I got bad news for you. That's every field in every single place ever, everywhere now. So it don't matter. It's everywhere. Artists are expected to continue working while seriously unwell. I personally experienced being reprimanded after taking a single sick day. Well, that's like a crime, and you should litigate to that. if you're getting in trouble for taking a sick day that you had and you communicated that with HR, that management person is in trouble, and if they don't do anything about it, then you should be able to sue for like giga money. Now, consequently, if it turns out you lie and there's like a bunch of like I was talking to a guy recently who works in corporate, and this guy manages a team of people in a similar field. And he had an employee take sick leave, and then it turned out that the employee actually had like they had gained a disability from surgery, right? But then instead of asking for accommodations, what ended up happening is that they basically kept taking sick leave. This is like a place where they get paid sick leave. And then just stopped coming into work. And they went to the guy who was in charge of the department, the person I was talking to. And he was like, yeah, they stopped coming to work. And they were like, why? And he was like, they said they were sick. And they went, no, they're on disability now. And, you know, we're helping accommodate them to work from home. But you didn't do the paperwork. And I'm like, well, he's like, well, they didn't tell me that. And they were like, yeah, they didn't tell us either. But we just found out. And he's like, okay, well, I want to help accommodate them. And they're like, well, we're going to handle it now. And he was like, well, you know, it's my staff. Let me help. And they were like, no. And so basically what ended up happening is that the employee, to get this, just went around him for some reason. And they were like a new hire as well that it had happened to. So it was like one of those things where they were like, this person isn't communicating anything to us, so what are we supposed to do? So they were like weighing their options of whether or not this person would even be staying at the company. But the way that they like went about it basically put them in that position where it was like, if you do the paperwork, you'll get your like FMLA or do all this stuff. But the thing is that you gotta like do the paperwork that fucking nobody wants to do. And it's like, you just gotta sign the paper. But if you don't do that, then you're just taking paid sick leave without telling anybody what happened. Yeah, communication is important. Yeah, if something happens, it's like people will accommodate you. But if you're not telling people what happened, then nobody can accommodate you. You know, and then it turns out a fucking entire company is accidentally committing an ADA violation. The company also creates an environment where employees feel unable. Oh yeah, I read that. Okay. Let's see. I personally experienced being reprimanded after taking a single sick day, during which I was told that, quote, should have been able to complete deadlines the day before, despite not knowing I would become ill. So you do have deliverables, because if you have deadlines on stuff, that means you have things, you have performance indicators. So why did you make your own if you have deadlines on projects? I watched coworkers come into work visibly unwell because they feared the consequences of taking time off. Well, the cost of living is very expensive these days. It's kind of a problem. The turnover rate is staggering, and unlike anything I have seen anywhere else. Look, I'll tell you, entertainment has a hilariously high turnover rate. Same thing for video games. When you go to school for those things, the professors, if they're not shit, will tell you you will lose your job, and it will happen all the time. That's one of the things. Yeah, have you heard of Blizzard's turnover rate? Almost every new hire last year was terminated during probation due to constantly shifting and unrealistic expectations. There are no structured development plans, mentorship systems, or attempts to help employees improve. This is one thing I will say, and I think it's a huge problem. There's no way to get invested in a company, right? So, like, if you work somewhere, they just expect you to know everything already. And as a result, newer employees end up shortchanged, which is why it's so hard to get an entry level position now, because they don't exist. And companies don't want to take the time to build up someone if the possibility of them leaving and going somewhere else is on the table. You have a much better time trying to poach somebody who's like a middle tier, rather than trying to aim at like a new hire who's going to have all these like wants, which is an issue, huge issue. And it is cheaper to invest in an employee rather than to constantly have to hire new people, by the way. It's way more expensive to hire people than it is to keep people. Let's see. There's no structured development plans or mentorship systems or attempts to help employees improve. Instead, staff are set up to fail through vague communication and ever-changing standards. A part of me is like, dude. So, like, the part of me who's worked in entertainment is like, yeah, it kind of is. I'm not saying that that's okay, but like, yeah. And then also, it's like the whole structured development and mentorship stuff is like, it doesn't exist anymore, especially in entertainment. You show up your first day on a film set, they expect that you know everything and know absolutely nothing. And then they give you some dumb shit job for the next 9 hours of your day. Instead, staff are said blah, blah, blah. Even when employees successfully meet one expectation, another hidden requirement suddenly appears without warning. Is it that this is a requirement, or that it's feedback or critique on work that's being done in the creative space? It's like if I make a edit for someone and I'm working in editing, I might send an editor, like an edit to a lead editor who gives me notes back on my edit and has me do it again. I might have not known that I needed to do those things, which is why I need to send it and then they send it back. Right? So it's not that it's like a hidden requirement, it's that I can't read their fucking mind. And even though I think I'm done, the work's not done. So it needs to come back to me. So like that sounds like what you're describing here, but describing it as if it's a problem to get your work back creates an environment where failure feels inevitable regardless of effort or talent. This sounds like I got critique and it made me upset. That's what that sounds like. Advice to management. Is this a section on Glassdoor? Is this like or is this like their own personal thing? Animation is a tough industry to work in, but this goes beyond the simple interpersonal drama. The CEOs and management consistently show genuinely abusive behavior, specifically towards women, but nobody is safe. Staff members have an internal joke that every month the higher ups pick a new person to bully, and if you don't perform well when it's your turn, they fire you or make your life hell. I mean, the the question of like, is this person misreading like office stuff, or is this real? That's the thing, because I'm trying to like get in this person's headspace, and I'm trying to like, I'm kind of picturing in my head somebody who's a bit more neurodivergent. You know what I mean? And with their neurodivergence, they're maybe like struggling to understand social cues or like very specific eccentricities of the rigmarole of office life, right? And by the way, like the folks I know that are like have done corporate or been in corporate or are in corporate constantly talk about things like that, right? But then they also they talk about it in a way where it's like it's true, but like also fuck ha ha ha, you know? So it's very strange because I could see it either being 100% true and like this is shit, or I could see this being like somebody who's like neurodivergent and not understanding like office gossip and like, you know, the fucking water cooler talk where you bitch about your boss with your coworkers, you know, that thing that everybody fucking does. Uh. Usually at work, I have specific problems, like how I wish my boss didn't leave me alone so much. But this person is giving zero examples other than sexism. Yeah, the sexism could be true. I wouldn't even be surprised if that's the case. That could absolutely be true. I'm not saying that event didn't happen. I'm just a lot of the way that they're describing things sound like somebody who's like misunderstanding a social cue outside of that. The sexism seemed cut and dry, you know, but then the other stuff sounded as if they're like, I struggle to recognize social cues or the specifics of conversation with my peers. You know, that's where some of it sounds like. Because I try to be very specific with my critique if I'm in charge of someone, but it's not even critique, notes. When I give notes, I try to be specific. But sometimes those people, if usually they were trained by me, but if they are trained by me, then they will sometimes ask for clarification on a note, and that healthy conversation is how we reach that conclusion. So that way work can get done, right? It's a conversation. It's a back and forth. Boom, 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 right? Let's see. CEOs and management specifically show abusive behavior, stat memory, blah, blah, blah. Okay. My advice is for the CEOs. So, okay. Usually there's one CEO. That's a title. Okay. So this would be your C-suite. Okay. If we're going to talk in corporate jargon now, my advice for the C-suite, which is the executives, right? You don't say CEOs. The chief executive officer usually is one person. Sometimes it's more. To step away completely from the company and artist. They're way too they're way too involved in every decision made when neither of them have the experience or intelligence to actually be making these decisions. When neither of them, it sounds like it's two people. Okay. So there's something to be, look, I think creatives should be able to make what they want, and I resonate with that. I am a creative. I make things. This person was in marketing. Yeah, exactly. The expectations in marketing are different from being a creative. So I don't know why this person is like making their entire review about a department they're not in. You know? But in the same breath with stuff like that, it's like Like okay, so for example, my brother is creative. I'm not saying he's not, but he is definitely more business minded. If I didn't have my brother to be the one who is business minded, nothing would get done. I need him to exist to make those specifics so that way my work can get done. He's obviously good at that. There are people who are bad at that, absolutely, and I have heard of horror stories. So that is obviously not the case everywhere. But making things unfettered with no limitations and no restrictions leads you to make nothing. Trust your artists and show them more gratitude. You're marketing, dude. Everything Glitch has done is off the backs of these artists, and they are only building resentment amongst their employees. Also, hire a new HR team. They are a huge reason the artists and employees feel such distrust and fear. They are not helpful or supportive in problem solving anyway. They consistently add on drama with bad communication and gossip. If you love these shows, please continue to love them, but just know these shows are being created under truly horrible conditions. Okay, no, something is starting to seem sussy about this. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I was totally believing that this entire Glassdoor review was real right up until this paragraph. Okay? Something is very strange that this Glassdoor review is speaking to the fans right now. Okay? That's strange. That's weird, right? You shouldn't be talking to the fans. You're just talking about your job. Why are you talking about your job to the fans? That's weird. That's weird. Because even when I work on things that people watch, I don't talk about those things as like, we're making something great for the fans. That's strange. This might just be a random fan. Fans wouldn't be there. You actually have to create an account to see reviews. Interesting. Sorry, my back. Would it be crazy if it said 6'7" on a jersey? There are so many wonderful, genuinely horrible. There are so many. No, these shows are being created under truly horrible conditions. There are so many individual, genuinely horrible stories of mistreatment and abuse from the management at Glitch towards their artists and employees. Hopefully, one day the artists can rehaul Glitch into an actually indie hope for the animation industry and continue to make cool and inspired animations. Right now, Glitch is poorly run corporate nightmare that is using up and spitting out artists. There is something really strange about this last one. This last paragraph is very weird. The timing of this lines up so perfectly with the accusations of Goosework being sexist. Right? Because remember, this only is being talked about right now because people are claiming that Goosework is being sexist and racist. Glitch has put out like 3 shows. I don't know. How the fuck are they using up and spitting out artists? I guess it depends on the production turnaround time, right? You could have a contract as an animator to work on a show for 3 months and then be gone before the show's done, Like, there are shows that I worked on that I was there and left months before the show ever came out. But the thing, it's just like Hold on. It's possible. There's more stuff from Reddit. But it's always like a guy who knew a guy. And they're always like fans talking about how they knew someone that worked there, which is the thing. Very, very odd. All right, so let's see what this other stuff is that Odie
Hey guys, I
sent.
just got back from Alton Towers and I figured I'd
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
make a little RE to this video whilst I'm recovering from my insane dizziness. For all the people, which isn't a lot, but still, the people in my comments who are saying that I'm holding a grudge, I'm being petty, and how long am I going to hold this over people's heads? Aren't people allowed to change? For all the people saying that, I want you to sit and think about this for a second.
What am I watching? She low-key Odie. Okay. Oh, wait. Is she doing a bit? This is a bit. This has to be a bit. Okay.
I think nearly, if not all of the controversies that have come out surrounding Glitch these past few weeks have been about anti-blackness. Not even just racism in general.
Wait, is this a bit? Is this a bit?
Anti-blackness specific.
This is not a bit. Oh my god. Yeah, I've seen people try to claim Glitch is no longer indie because they have a monopoly picking up indie projects and accusing them of being too corporate. Okay, listen, as a man who has one choice for an ISP, these people don't know what a monopoly is.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that we're not getting the same droves of, I don't know, homophobia, transphobia, ableism? It's not as if back in those days those things were any rarer than racism. If anything, I'd argue that unfortunately they were more accepted by those people's standards. So why is it always conveniently just anti-blackness? Specifically, the saying the N-word variant of anti-blackness. You want to know what I think? I think Glitch does do background checks, just
Whoa! What? Oh, okay. So who at Glitch is saying the N-word? Is this from the Gangle Jack stuff? This unless Jax has some Look, man, if I was black, I could say something really funny, but I can't.
not for racism. They probably do background checks on queerphobia and ableism.
What?
They understand that a big portion of their fan base is queer and
So they do background checks to figure out whether or not you're queer phobic or ableist, which is why. What do you mean, dude? What? So what about Goose?
neurodivergent. But their black fan base? Who cares? There's probably barely any black Glitch fans out there.
I I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. You're not a like some fucking you're not the only one, man. You're not the only one. I definitely do know. So that's just racist. That's just racist. Like I don't know what to tell you.
No point in making sure that our black fan base is protected from people who have indulged in significant harm to the black community in the past. You're crazy. It's not as if any of our shows actually have any black people in them anyways. Oh, wait.
Just, some of these shows are made up of like fucking IKEA furniture, brother.
Sorry, I forgot. The chess piece that dies before the show even...
Glad to see that the camera fund has been well used. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, I'm back.
begins and has about 2 minutes of screen time is black. My bad. Anyways, back to my point. Knowing how edgelords move, it's insane to have only curated...
The chess piece from before... Why are we applying race of the world that we live on to the amazing digital circus, okay? This is like if I watched a show about, like, anthropomorphized animals and applied my perceptions of race onto them. To do so seems more racist than to see them as sans race. Okay? I don't know. I've never looked at Pomni and gone cracker. You know what I mean? It's not been a thought that pops in my head. Same thing for Jax, right? The coding, guys, the coding. See, you could say that, but in the same breath, I've seen so many and met so many people that defy those stereotypes, okay? That does, say that this coding could, dare I say it, be racist in it of itself.
A safe space for the racist ones, that has to be intentional in some capacity, or at least an extreme result of negligence for your black fans. And it shows.
I think we got to talk about this. I don't even. We don't need to cross that bridge to discuss that yet. Sans race Undertale.
Just how little you care about them, because all this.
Yeah, coding is just a nice way of reading stereotypes onto a character. Coding is just a fucking lampshade to hide stereotyping.
Ends up doing is curating a safe space for harm against black people to be downplayed, like it did with the TADC situation, the Plain Rock situation, and like it will most likely do with the
Plain Rock situation.
Over situation. In conclusion, I will be angry, and unfortunately, your white guilt about how people have the right.
What are you talking? You're gonna be angry about this, lady? This masked police rounded up people. All right, we could direct our energy to those things. All right, let's keep the energy there.
Change isn't gonna sway me. I don't prioritize white people's growth.
Listen, we all love Piccolo, and he is honorary black, but Namek is green. This is the kind of black person that would say that I am a white person talking about this, when I've been saying many times on this stream. I mean, look, if you want to be, I fucking hate Americans because this is such an American view of race stuff. But I do not resonate or have lived the white experience. I didn't. I talk about it all the time. I was bullied. I was treated as the token minority friend. I never felt comfortable in those spaces around people that way. I was always othered. And it's very funny, because I didn't realize it in some ways. My when I was in Catholic school, my friends never invited me skiing. They didn't know how to ski either when they were children. They all learned, but they didn't invite me. Why the fuck do you think? I'm brown. Brown people don't know that. I mean, I don't know, Diesel. You're white now. Yeah, this fucking camera.
Over black people's safety, and I never will. Sorry. Hey guys, I just got
this back. Is like what is guys, Jax has a gun. He's gonna say the N-word, and the N-word shoots bullets. Oh my god, I love skiing. We know Pi.
You know how I said I'd wake up and there'd be new controversies in my comments? Well,
you need a fucking job. You need a fucking job.
I'm always right. So people have been taking a stroll through memory.
I don't. You might be black, but girl, you acting white as hell right now. God damn.
And they basically found that when Goose said she had a bunch of edgy jokes in her drafts that would probably cause her to lose her professional position, she wasn't exaggerating. First, we have her constant, incessant need to joke about incest, like it seems every other.
Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? God forbid. God forbid. No, you're telling me this person who draws on the internet has a bunch of freaky stuff? Dude, holy shit. There's rumors. So the way that Disney works is that when you work for them and you draw for them, everything you draw becomes theirs. So when you leave, you have to give all of your drawings to the vault. And so as a result, Disney has piles upon piles upon piles of the most egregious smut you have ever seen, hidden away. But we're gonna draw the line at incest. Listen, man. If they don't make a baby, it ain't my fucking problem. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be like, oh, brother, it's not okay. It's not kosher. But why? Like, we're gonna be wokeifying fictional incest? Are we really having a woke debate about fictional incest? Who cares? It's fictional. They're not gonna make a fucking baby. Raggedy Ann and Andy are dolls. They're dolls. They're not alive. They were never alive. And they're like 100 years old. Who cares? Oh, brother, poor choice of words. Boss, I have friends that work for Disney. They're freaky as fuck. Yeah, you can't be an amazing artist without being a little freaky. I'm in a server with someone who works at Disney, and the things they say about The Rock from Project Hail Mary. Like, it's crazy that these folks are so, like, puritanical, dude. It's crazy to be so puritanical. It's ridiculous.
Second, all of these jokes just have the pun of ha 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 incest. Okay, dude. But then again, 30-year-old white woman on Tumblr, what did we expect? She also has a post.
If I fucking can astral project into your room and see what you look at your free time, you're telling me not once in your entire life you've gone on AO3 and read a little something? What the fuck are you getting up to? Okay, because we all treat it like every single little neurodivergent snowflake here on the internet somehow is completely devoid of anything a little bit unkosher. But you know, if I'm drawing straws amongst the neurodivergent crowd, you motherfuckers got all the kinks, dude. You all do. I don't know what it is. Myself too. I get it. Goddamn, Heart Attack Grill is closing down. Bad day for fat women lovers, you know? What are you going to do about it? Right? It's probably my latent autism coming out to be upset about such a thing. I once read a Jesus as Judas fanfic on AO3. I know, like the sheer amount of stepsis, stepbro, stepmom, stepdad porn. There's no way. You can't be a young 20-somethings, assumedly femme presenting individual on the internet and not engaged in any fan fiction at all. You're telling me all of that was above board and kosher? You know, either yaoi between two adult-aged individuals or any of that. You're telling me that never happened in your teen years? Or at all? Fucking Christ. Literally fucking Christ. Jesus x Judas. Jesus was an Omega and got pregnant with Judas's baby. Well, we know which shatters are going to hell, so.
So she complains about people making a character's skin darker because they aren't black. Mind you, the character is based off a black man. This makes me wonder.
Okay, we know that Josuke is based on Prince, but Josuke is a Japanese high school delinquent. These are the reason why so many neurodivergent peeps have so many kinks is because of sensory output, and it makes our brains feel good. Guys, Josuke lives in Morio, Japan, okay? It's a very quiet neighborhood. Kira, what's his fucking name? Fuck, I'm drawing a blank on, it's Kira or something. Not Akira Toriyama. I'm trying to think of the guy who has Killer Queen.
how many times she saw fan art of Jax being black and internally seethed. And then last but not least, she makes a joke about replacing this guy called Shadman. Shadman, the same guy who literally...
No, that joke is not approval of Shadman either. If I were to make a tweet about Shadman, it would be way more direct and way edgier. Something like, "Who's gonna fill my shoe? Fill the shoes Shadman left empty. I'm not gonna enjoy it, but I guess it's gotta be me." No, that is so clearly a joke. That is so clearly a joke. It's not like she's sitting up here and going, "I approve of Hitler," which is what people seem to think. Okay, is it really that bad? At first I was being performative, but is it really that bad? I've never seen people like this in society. Is it really, is media literacy really that bad? Yeah, Yoshikage Kira, yeah, Yoshikage Kira. Thank you. like she's saying, if I were to make a joke about Shadman, I would say it's time to pick up the mantle. Like, it's very obvious what the joke is.
literally drew porn of real life children. She also posted
she's not saying, I think drawing porn of real life children. I don't, like, you're just saying different things.
Around the time he got arrested for assault with a deadly weapon. Genuinely can't fathom what's so funny about that. Every day I truly...
I think you should be yelled at more, actually. This is crazy. The internet is clearly a fucking 6th generation psychological warfare weapon. You're telling me that the Ellisons aren't, like, fucking boosting this shit in order to ruin the fabric of society one little greeble at a time? You're telling me Elon Musk doesn't encourage discourse on Twitter.com in order to make people hate their fellow man? I'm thinking that we all got to stop directing our energy at fighting each other over little cultural quibbles, okay? Because really, those things don't matter. These are all distractions from the fact that fucking guys like Kevin O'Leary want to build data centers that are going to put out so much toxic fucking fumes that it's going to be warming up the earth and all killing us faster while they can all hide away in bunkers, all right? I'm thinking you're not radicalized enough, guys. I'm thinking that you motherfuckers need to get your fucking shit together so that way you can focus on the real people that are making the real fucking problems, all right? Because these motherfuckers are going to islands and raping little kids, all right? But we're going to get mad about a goosework tweet. You're not mad enough at the right people, all right? Get fucking mad at those people. We could do something about them. You could complain to your fucking Congress people about them. You could keep making a fucking big deal about it, all right? Because one of the most vocal proponents against it has lost his fucking re-election campaign. Like, there's more videos she made if you want, Diesel. You're gonna kill me.
Thank God that I never started posting on Twitter, because it seems that being on that app for long periods of time genuinely just makes you desensitized to everything horrible in the world, to the point where it's almost sad. There's something severely wrong.
It's not that it's even making you desensitized. I still have empathy for thy fellow man, all right? But you seem to want to sit around and be some, like, cultural warrior for the fucking puritanical woke society. But I'm sorry, you're directing your energy at shit that don't matter, all right? Fucking Oracle Systems, one of the 4th richest man in the world, owns TikTok along with a bunch of other network infrastructure. This fucking guy controls most of the internet, and his kids are both getting involved in that too. Does that not fucking bother you? Get mad about that, motherfucker. Get fucking mad about that. Fucking desensitized. Well, obviously they're hypersensitized, right? But it's like, if you're gonna have your crusade be the amazing digital circus, you need to get your fucking shit straight.
What does this have to do with anti-blackness?
With you people, if this does not elicit any concern from you. You know how I said I'd wake up and there'd be...
If you got another one, Odie, sure, get me all mad. Get me all mad. Oh, they're 20. All right. Anti-cringe culture. I'm sure this person would have quite the field day with a person like me. Remember your blood pressure. How dare you not be concerned about the same thing I am. Dude, I will say I do fully recognize the dismal reality of the situation, right? Because I am aware that my existence and the things that I create fundamentally kind of like rub against my own personal beliefs and values, right? But it's like you gotta end up threading that needle to say something worth a damn versus just sitting around berating people who are quote unquote cringe, right? Which is why I've had streams like the last stream I did where I was talking about the Tyler Catastrophe person, right? Where I was mocking the what I would call woke normie commentary for their position of basically kind of like berating Tyler and acting woke through the process. The kind of people who would be like Turkey Tom is a bad guy, but then also making the same kind of content with him, but kind of like sheepishly being, put off by it in a way so that way they could feign some moral righteousness about it when it's really just the same thing. It's people wanting to have that morally righteous cake, but then eat the bully pie too. You know what I mean? It's like you can't be both, right? You can't participate in it in the same breath and then not acknowledge what it actually is, which is what they do, which is what bothers me. Because I could fully admit, like, let's be real, when we all sat there watching the Tyler Catastrophe stream, a part of you deep down, maybe even subconsciously, had to have been thinking, shit's bad, but I ain't that fucking loser. Cause that's what we're all thinking. Imagine you got hit by a car and then all of a sudden you're like, I'm in love with Wilbur Soot and I want to ruin my entire life to be in the same room as him. That's pathetic. Like, that's pathetic. It is. It is. And it's, in some regards, it is cringe, right? But to call it anything other than that, to frame it as a baby reindeer-esque moral failing that needs to be crusaded against is ridiculous. And honestly is lampshading what you really want to do. Because what you really want to do is sit there and laugh, not fucking protect Wilbur Soot because you don't fucking care about Wilbur Soot. It's like, it's in the same way this person doesn't fucking care about Goosework. Okay? What do you want from Goosework? For Goosework to apologize? To apologize? Because I don't think that's gonna be enough for you. I think if Goosework apologized, you would have a fucking problem with it. And if you were to be finger wagged and you were to address that right now, you probably would say, yeah, I would apologize. I would accept an apology. I would accept it. No, you're not. You're fucking lying. You're lying because I've been on the internet long enough to see this a billion other times. Okay. And when they do, the person never they never accept the apology. There's never kowtowing good enough. Oh boy. They would say her apology is fake or insincere. Yep. All of those things.
Someone sent me a scene with the character that Aaron Hansen, aka the racist voices from Gameoverse. Guys, it's
The racist voices.
really bad. I'm not even.
Guys, I would argue that. Okay, I made it more linear. Thank you. Hold on.
I think I kind of accepted that for a while my account's just going to be resigned to intermittent updates about the TADC controversies. As much as this whole thing
Yeah,
sucks,
because it makes you hella views, girl. Come on.
There is quite a lot informative to say about this and how
Oh, I'm
different
not.
people
Hold on.
perceive and
It's
interact
just
with race.
fucking bacon cake.
With that being said, both Glitch and Gliss have addressed the man saying the N-word at the Expo event. Glitch released your typical corporate.
Yeah, it was just plain rock being like a troll, which isn't appropriate at all. And obviously that kind of behavior isn't appropriate. Absolutely.
Statement. They say that they banned the man and they want people to not associate that horrible behavior with Glitch themselves. It's very much more about not having their own reputation stained rather than actually being upset about the harm that has been enabled in their fandom.
What the fuck are they supposed to do aside from kick plain rock out? What are they supposed to do? What are they supposed to pay reparation? I'm sorry. Why are you fucking doing this? Okay, when they just read this, I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep bringing up much more actual serious political things. So if this is the first time you hear about these things through me, I'm very sorry. But motherfucker, they just redistrict Tennessee to get rid of all the fucking historically black districts and are peeling away things that kept Jim Crow from encroaching in the South. Fucking get mad about that. Who or what is Plain Rock? He basically just breaks things on the internet or occasionally goes around in public and does things to bother people. And then people obviously get bothered by those things.
Towards black men. Like, don't get me wrong, they are very much condemning what happened here. They're just not so much empathizing with the victims of it. Because
I don't understand what you want a corporation to do in this kind of moment. Do some fucking homework, right? Because it's really easy to sit here and just like about it, right? In your world, what does a corporate message look like for this? I want to know.
it was victims. This might have been the only one who was recorded, but multiple black people have come out and said that they experienced the same thing from different people. So yeah, unfortunately, this is very much an epidemic, which unfortunately isn't even really surprising. There's very much a pattern in these apologies of, listen, I want to be sorry, but I also got to make sure first and foremost that my perception is not affected, which is why these apologies.
The company obviously doesn't want to be associated with the guy who said the N-word. Why would you? Why would you want to be associated with somebody who says the N-word and says it in a way as a pejorative to put down others?
Don't come off as authentic to me. You'll see, especially in the case of Gooseworks later on, none of these people can really position themselves as having caused the harm that they have. Like, across every single apology we've gotten from these people in the past 2 days, there's always some level of downplaying or distancing from the situation, and that is simply just not accountability for me.
This has to, you know what? I'm beginning to think that a majority of many outrages on the internet were started by people that could not fucking drink legally.
Also makes no mention of the controversy that started this whole thing with their own voice actors and director, nor do they make mention of the fact that up until very recently, as in the day of the incident, Kevin was following this guy, which is great that he's unfollowed him, but the man has a known Trumpster for a while now, so it does raise a few flags.
Follow policing! I follow tons of people I fucking can't stand, okay? You know what I do when there's somebody that I don't like but that I follow? I put them on mute. And then I'll check the Twitter when I need to for a fucking story. All right? Or, you know, I'll put them in a list. I use the list feature on Twitter. And I put all those people in a list so that way when I'm looking for stuff to cover, I go over those things. Now, anybody else, right? Creators often just follow each other and then don't see each other's tweets. Because when I scroll through my For You page, I don't see all of the annoying people that I can't fucking stand all the time. Okay? I just see beautiful women. Or I guess the boys discourse right now.
This is acknowledgement of the situation. That's not being cynical or overly harsh. She straight up does not apologize. It is merely a statement acknowledging what is happening. She basically said anyone who thinks they're on her side by being racist should kill themselves, which, like, yes, girl boss, but at the same time, I have a few questions. First of all, let's be entirely honest. You have been chronically online since conception. We know you saw the situation. You probably saw it before any of us. So what was the wait for? Why did you let your replies, your quote retweets become such a safe place for racists to hang out until finally deciding to grace us with the revolutionary statement of racists should kill themselves? I don't know, man. If Giving Glitch told you to apologize, otherwise they were gonna make you turn Jack.
Well, you were just like a fucking what the fuck? There's no helping this, right? You either grow out of this or you just get worse with age. Like, this is like you kind of need to be nut checked by something in your life in order to kind of like grow.
Black. On top of that, the cognitive dissonance is just pissing me off. Like, you're so close to understanding that your racist actions had a link to other people's racist behavior and emboldening that, but you just refuse to make it.
No, that is definitely... Plain Rock saw how easily hurt the TADC fandom was. and then capitalized on that. It wasn't that Goosework made it a safe place for people like him, because it was never for people like him.
These people would genuinely rather act as if this kind of racism came out of nowhere instead of believing that their actions had a direct correlation to it, and it's pissing me off. Oh, and unfortunately, just like with the Michael and Ashley apology, there's a very clear instance of downplaying here, especially with this wording.
Yeah. Oh, you've been chronically online since conception. Dude, you were describing yourself. Yeah. None of the anti-SJWs had a point in 2016 because it was all based on people complaining about 20-year-olds being 20-year-olds who were screaming into a void. Yeah, there was that, and then, like, any of the stuff that was coming downstream of, like, academia was, like, an overcorrection from, like, the current students that were there to begin with.
Funny story, the TDC movie is dropping on Juneteenth.
Oh, brother. The real way to deal with this kind of stuff is just to be like, you're fucking crazy, dude, and then just move on, right? It's like with the Lilu Dallas Multipass. You guys remember her? Remember Lilu Dallas Multipass and the social repose stuff? Fucking, if I wanted to, I could have gotten all up in my feels about how everybody was like, this guy's a sexist. He's decrying people with mental illnesses. He actually doesn't care about people getting help. This, that, or the other thing, right? Just complete gross mischaracterizations of me as a person. Characterizations that I have made very clear and apparent here that are very easily, like, verifiable and reputable through many years of action, right? But they don't fucking care. So what else am I supposed to say other than Lilu Dallas Multipass is hilariously fucking stupid online and handled it all very poorly and was nothing but rewarded by it by the internet, which is a shame because people like that shouldn't be, but that's the society and world we live in.
Here she specifies genuine racist, hateful things, implying that there's a type of racism that isn't genuine or hateful. I know, I sound like I'm nitpicking, but just hear me out.
It's a genuine or hateful.
I genuinely do believe a lot of non-black people think that there's a lower level tier of racism that they're allowed to indulge in. Like, they do actually think there are instances of racism that simply aren't that deep. To them, they cannot fathom that no matter how it presents.
Do you predict, like in the same way that I feel uncomfortable around large swaths of white folk, do you just assume that white folk are secretly holding some kind of special racism, you know, like jujutsu or something? Like,
always has real world consequences.
She's just 20. Let her grow up a bit more. That's true. That is true.
Let's look at how the people who were initially calling this a nothing burger drama were reacting to it actually manifesting in real life. According to them, it is black people's fault for being so publicly upset with it that people were pushed to be racist because we're apparently annoying. But I'm not even surprised, because the people who are the catalyst for this entire situation have—
You're annoying, but your annoyingness has nothing to do with your blackness. As far as I'm concerned, you're those white hands in the video.
In a way that creates a safe space for those kinds of people, especially Goose. Just open up her replies on Twitter right now. Go do it. You will feel sick. In conclusion, I think it should be considered some kind of hate crime that the final episode of the show is releasing, at least on YouTube, on Juneteenth. I bet you good money someone at Glitch knew this was gonna happen. Overly play in our face. I think I've kind of accepted.
Dude, that's crazy work. That's crazy work. Oh shit. I wish I lived in a world with such crazy conspiracies. Unfortunately, we just have the one that's not fun, you know.
Hey, sorry if you can hear my baby cousin screaming golden in the back of this video. My family is over. But this comment reads, what is your opinion on Gameoverse? If you watched it, like, what are your thoughts? I didn't.
Why are we... No, stop.
To me, I'm not a fan of the character designs, and honestly, I'm just not really a fan of the premise. And then
girl, you don't like anything. Just stop watching it. Why are you doing this to yourself? I don't like TADC, the drop, blah blah blah, all this stuff. It sounds like it brings you nothing but personal misery, man. if this stuff, you know, fucking makes you so mad, don't put yourself in the way of it. You know? Why are you doing that to yourself? Stop. Do what sparks joy in your heart, brother. Why are you doing this if it all makes you mad?
Also found out that Jay Schlad and Aaron Hansen are involved
I'll put it up a little bit.
on the voice acting cast. And I just think that's very bold, considering that Glitch just got out of a controversy where its most popular show had a cast of fairly racist voice actors and a possibly racist creator. I say possibly, yes, a racist creator, point blank period. Why is that bold, you may ask? Well, let's just say Mr. Hansen and Mr. Schlott have pasts of their own. Roll the clips.
Playing that for how many people are watching right now? 330, Sky? Go fuck yourself, Sky.
Yeah, the thing is, though, is that I don't think most people feel that Jay Schlatt is those things. If there was any mea culpa he had to do for dropping an F slur right there, he's definitely done it. I'm rich and white. Why the fuck do you think I'm on Twitter? Oh god. The face of Allah. That's a white guy. And then, okay, so Schlatt is talking to Prezzo there, and Prezzo is like giga gay. So
Give him, nigga. HXC. Yeah, for real, nigga.
okay. First of all, these are animations from nearly 2 decades ago at this rate, all right? Because Aaron Hansen hasn't picked up a pencil in years. But like that Knuckles might actually be older than her. That is definitely older than her. Dude, an animation of Cloud. This is more than a decade and a half old. Yeah, I don't like Aaron, but he's long since disavowed this shit. Yeah.
Yo, nigga, we got to get out of here, B.
That's crazy. That's crazy work, but that was like a million years ago, and he has done his time.
I got me some metal arm action shit, dog. Damn, artificial arm, cornrows, bitch. I'm gonna took it out, bitch, fucking for your shit, dog. Damn, nigga. Let me help you kill them nigga, bitch, fuck shit, fuck shit.
See, I will say, him saying the N-word is bad, but he's not saying the N-word in a pejorative sense. And now I am power scaling racism. So I would like to apologize for saying such a thing to be preposterous. But yes, the internet was different 20 years ago. Yeah. It's like, this is like if I got mad at medieval peasants for having a poor perception of women's rights. It's like, yeah, it was different back then. It was a different time. Yeah, Barrett wouldn't say the N-word if Square Enix were cowards.
Give it up, motherfucker. Let me tell you a tale about a nigga named me gonna fucking... This game. Let's see what people are saying on the forum.
There was a forum, dude. There was a forum.
You can just fucking scream the N-word!
Fun fact, I had to cut down that Aaron Hansen.
You know what's funny, though, is that Oni Plays could be like... He isn't saying a hard R, he's saying an A. We're really splitting hairs in the internet racism power scaling game we're doing right now. The VOD is now piss yellow. Yeah, I think I'll be fine for this one. There's a time when as long as you grew up in the hood, no matter of race, you could say the N-word. I'm black. I don't fucking care. You know, the thing, though, is that I'm pretty sure Aaron Hansen grew up in white suburbia.
quite significantly because it's a 3-minute long video of different instances where he said the N-word. But yeah, I don't know, man. Announcing your project that has 2 people who literally have a compilation about how racist they have been right after your racism scandal with your most...
See, the thing is that you could make as much of a fuss about all this as you want, but the amount of energy you waste on folks like Jay Schlatt and Aaron is so grossly misplaced because it lessens the ability for people to actually put down serious problem makers later on. Think about it. Think about how many people actually get canceled these days. Pretty much nobody. You know, the power of these things has been devalued because, you know, you go after the N-word compilation guy, and then the final time that we get like look at Chud the Builder. You know, we have a Chud the Builder, and Chud the Builder should have been blown off the internet way before he shot a person. You know, but inadvertently we've built a situation where folks don't care anymore because so frequently those who do not need the ire of social persecution are the people that have it thrown at them. You know, it's like with Chud the Builder, we have a real, honest to God, in my opinion, Nazi race war inciting accelerationist garnering thousands of views on a stream and nobody fucking cares. You know? It's like you can't be wasting your time with this fucking fucking Shalat and Aaron Hansen. It's like a waste of energy. Yeah, it's a boy who cried wolf. Yeah.
Popular show is definitely a statement. At this point, I don't know how we're going to be able to distinguish an indie meetup from a Klansman meetup. But yeah, the fact that the show...
That's crazy work, actually. That's a crazy statement. Just stop watching this stuff if you don't like it. It just almost feels very like, why? Like, you're just doing this to yourself so that way you can get views on TikTok. You know, if you're that passionate about it, the reality for this, if you don't like this, is to not engage. Because the way that these things die is through apathy, is through nobody caring. You know, but if you care this much and you sit down and you pack watch, you're still giving them a view. She's a Danganronpa fan too. All right, well. It would be really easy to go bar for bar on problematic media, but... Are they implying Goosework is from the clan? I think she might be the Grand Wizard. Oh, brother. God. Now my entire Twitter feed is no longer filled with beautiful women, but fucking game over discourse and fucking TADC discourse. I've ruined my feed, people. I cultivated that algorithm. Brick by brick. And now it's been ruined. Oh, shit. The goose and Goosework is actually a reference to Goose Step. Gosh. Well, I get beautiful fat women and femboys on my Twitter brick by brick. I'm gonna go enjoy my evening. I got a fucking headache. Thank you all for coming out. What a wonderful evening. Stupid evening. Bad evening. We hated this evening.